This is not typically the type of video I enjoy making, as I don't really like getting too much into politics on this channel. Maybe a few political jokes here and there on Keegan Report Weekly, but I try to stay pretty neutral as to not drive in or away any group of people that may otherwise enjoy this channel's content. In other words, this channel's content is made for anybody, no matter their political views. That being said, why bother bringing that up? Well, this channel I'll be looking at today is a conservative right-wing YouTube channel focused on political commentary and news. Even though I'm technically considered left-leaning, that does not mean I am not open to opposing views, and I am, in fact, very open to discussion, which is all I really intend to do with this video, seeing as I always try to stay a neutral party. There's nothing wrong with being conservative or right-leaning, and making videos expressing yourself as such. I'd actually go as far as to say I need to see more people like that on YouTube. However, if you're watching this, The American Individual, I can only hope you keep an open mind while listening to this video. To start off, I'd like to give some basic critiques and criticisms to the American Individual YouTube channel. Just some stuff that I think would generally make their videos more bearable, because, to be perfectly blunt, their videos are a chore to watch. And that's not even because I disagree with them. It's just because they drag on so much. You know the saying, watching paint dry? Well, in this case, I think that would be a better option. Anywho, yeah. I think you should try to cut out all the unnecessary parts of your videos, which are actually a large portion of them, because it doesn't seem like your videos are very scripted, which makes your videos less concise and leaves a lot of boring nonsense that could be conveyed a lot better if you had a script. Scripting your videos is, I guess, like a 2-for-1 critique. Scripting your videos makes it easier to convey the message you want, which I think could seriously benefit your channel. This may shorten the lengths of your videos, but I mean, if that's the case, so be it. A lot of your videos are well over 10 minutes anyway, with a lot of empty space. I think it's better to have shorter videos that better represent the message you want to send, than to make longer videos that just drag on just to make the same point. This also makes it easier for your viewers to digest. That's not to say you can't have long videos. You certainly can. Just look at Pondersprocket. She makes really long videos that are filled to the brim with information that is very well scripted. It's just that she has a lot to say most of the time. Another thing I think would seriously help is to show evidence of your claims. You make a lot of claims in your videos without giving any evidence to support them. Not giving evidence doesn't make a claim false, however it gives no reason to believe the claim is true. The claim then isn't substantiated and loses its value. Are there statistics that you bring up? Try showing a graph that proves it. Is there a scientific claim that you make? Try showing a reliable article excerpt that proves it. I'm not saying that all your claims are false, it's just a better way to argue since evidence is what should be looked for when researching or listening to a claim. Otherwise, there would be no difference from a claim that is total BS. Researching your claims is definitely going to help with both providing evidence and scripting. Most of what you say in your videos seem to be opinion-based, provided as if it was objectively true. The line between opinion and fact in your videos is very blurred. You can obviously express your opinion in your videos since that seems to be what you're all about. However, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't frustrating when it seems like most of what you say seems to have a lack of merit. I also believe this will help you understand opposing viewpoints more, since it seems like you have a severe lack of understanding of liberal claims. I see that you have sources in the descriptions, but a good video should always have the evidence readily available for the watcher during the video with an explanation of why the evidence supports the claim. I struggle with this sometimes too, so I guess we can both get better at it. When critiquing a channel, I always think it's important to look at specific videos to see their principles put into practice. Along with that, I think it's important to take into account any improvement I see, so let's start off with an older video of his. Toxic Masculinity. Top 5 Ways to Be a Real Man. From the beginning, my main critique would be to structure your videos better, but that's more or less a smaller issue. I do respect how you point out this video is your opinion, however I think it would also be best if you said these traits not applying to someone doesn't make them not a man.
Hello and welcome to The American Individual. I'm your host Dylan, and today we've got another video today, and it's a special video. It's a top 5s video. Top 5 ways basically to be an alpha male, or a real man, I guess, in my opinion. So a lot of these are my opinion. If you disagree with me, or have more that you think what it takes to be a man, let me know. So, the top 5 ways that you can be a real man, or an alpha male.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe what you're talking about. I've got nothing against alpha males, because I think it's great to just be who you want to be. And if... oh, stop it! And if you like being a typical alpha male, go ahead as long as you're not hurting anybody.
And I want to talk about this because I think that today's men are not what they're cracked up to be, and versus, you know, maybe 100 years ago. Well, I'm not saying 100 years ago we were all perfect, but today, I think we've fallen quite a bit. There's the saying where it's like, if hard times bring strong men build good times bring weak men, and weak men bring hard times, then it's just a circle. Well, right now we're at, I think personally, the weak men stage in our society.
That's interesting. I might sound like a broken record here, but I don't think that a man should be told to be anything but what they want to be. I don't think there's anything wrong with soft men. I actually think that there are some benefits to it. Knowing when to open up to people is good. Hiding pain or trauma is no way to live, I think. Being open with each other, I think, is good because then we can grow as people and rid ourselves of those flaws. At the same time, it is good to have a bit of thick skin, so not to be a total baby, because the world doesn't really show mercy. It's pretty dark.
So, coming in at number 1, we have an important thing to be, a man. And especially if you don't really, know or want to embrace masculinity, is be strong. And when I mean be strong, I mean physically strong. Being strong, going to the weight room, going to a gym is great. It boosts testosterone, it helps you lose weight, it helps you build confidence and other things, which we'll talk about later in the video. And it's a really positive trait if used correctly. So I'm not saying go and be strong and go and bully somebody else, because that's not being strong. You're being a piece of crap.
I actually think this is a pretty good message. Be strong and lose weight if it betters yourself. Don't do it to be a bully. That stuff should all be just for yourself and never to harm other people. If getting fit isn't your thing, then you don't have to do it, nor should you be forced to. It's all up to the individual. Or should I say, the American individual. He goes on to say you can use your strength to defend other people, which is nice. I actually really like how this is turning out. Gym bros are some of the nicest people I know.
Right? You should go and be strong, and you should be strong enough to defend other people, because that's what being a real man is all about. But I think it's really important if you go to a gym, and you'd be surprised how many other men are in the gym that are like me, that are actually really positive and supportive towards other people. Coming in at number 2, an important thing to being a man is being, this one's kind of a 3-parter, but be responsible, you gotta be accountable, and you gotta be trustworthy. And you gotta be responsible because there may be, we may be redefining gender roles and everything like that, but there's no reason that you shouldn't be, as a man, reliable.
That's also another good point. No matter your gender identity, it's always good to be a decent person who is a value to our society. Being accountable, as he said, is a way of improvement which shouldn't be just for any particular group of people.
Number 4 comes in, and it's actually, you gotta be confident. And this goes in all cases for men and women, but when you walk into a room, you want people to look at you and be like, wow, that guy looks like he knows what he's doing.
Here's something I think I should debate. Being confident is obviously a good thing, because without confidence, how are you going to become a better person? Person. However, at the same time, confidence does not mean fearless. Fear is a part of life. It's natural. Avoiding that isn't good at all, and denying it isn't healthy either. We all just really need to overcome those fears and learn from them. That Jordan Peterson part of your video did really mess me up. I had absolutely no idea what you're talking about. And it's a prime example of why I think you should script your videos.
Coming in number 5, last but not least, be compassionate. A real man has mercy and kindness.
That's actually another good message. To put what vibe I get from this guy, if you've ever watched Cobra Kai, I feel like he'd be a student in Eagle Fang Karate, as opposed to Miyagi-Do or Cobra Kai. I have a lot of respect for that guy, especially for someone like me who would be a Miyagi-Do student. Again, be who you want to be, just don't be a dick. The next video on our list is something I personally haven't watched yet, and it's a video titled Destroying the Fat Pride Movement, which, to me, seems like something I'll probably disagree with a bit. That's not me going, what's wrong with being fat, huh? Because I'm an insecure fat person. No, I'm actually a little scrawny skeleton boy with barely any muscles that's just generally a very accepting person. But without further ado, let's start the video.
Hello and welcome to The American Individual. I'm your host Dylan, and today we have another special video for you guys. In this video, I'm going to be rebutting the Fat Pride movement. Basically, the first thing that I wanted to talk about is, what is the Fat Pride movement? Well, the Fat Pride movement, or the Fat Acceptance movement, in its founding, it's a really good, it's a really moral idea. It's like, oh yeah, we should accept fat people, quote unquote. But that's not really what it's about, okay? It's not about accepting the fat kid at recess and letting him play with you and stuff like that. It's kind of turned into this thing where we basically just promote obesity and, you know, promote unhealthy lifestyles.
I partially agree. On one hand, I agree. We shouldn't promote obesity, which is a legitimate health issue. But on the other hand, I think you're being a bit too general. While yes, there have been a lot of people that kind of just flipped body positivity on its head and started using it as a way to attack non-fat people, I believe that's a loud minority. That is, to your credit, important to call out. With that being said, I think you should level out this negativity by talking a bit more about how there are still good people who are just decent human beings.
As well as just saying, okay, well, I'm fat, so I'm beautiful. It's like, well, no, you can be beautiful and fat, but just because you're fat doesn't mean you're beautiful. And if you can't logically think about that way, then I don't know. And I hate the idea that when people say, it's like, oh, everyone's beautiful. It's like, no, some people are effing ugly. Like you can't help it.
That's a bit too negative for me. I am strongly against that defeatist mindset. And I think you should promote to people that self-improvement should be for themselves, and that not being with the most attractive person isn't a terrible thing. But it's fine to strive to look better if that's what makes you happy. I don't think there's too much more to talk about with this video, since I generally agree with a lot of what he has to say, and also brings up screenshots, which is one of my critiques I had earlier, so you get a thumbs up from me. I recommend this video if you can handle 16 minutes that could be condensed down into 7, maybe 10? Oh, this video. This video may take a while for me to talk about, seeing as it's the most political video I've looked at. I'm going to disagree quite a bit here, so buckle up for the biggest lies told by the left. I watched through this video, and I think I should point out that calling most of these lies is very bold. It's fine if you disagree with some of the liberal views, but calling them lies is disingenuous, and I disagree with the way you went about it.
Hello and welcome to The American Individual. I'm your host Dylan, and today we have a very special video for you guys. It's another top 5 video. My top 5 biggest lies that the leftist media has been telling you, and maybe you want to comment if you believe them or not, and maybe comment if I changed your mind on the truth behind most of these lies. And there will be a bonus 5 because there's just, you know, too many to put into one video. This is one of the biggest lies that I believe the left tells you, and that's the fact that they say that socialism works. Now, they have some, you know, standing to their argument.
I'm not a socialist. I honestly don't have a solid political standpoint on this type of matter. However, as I said, calling this a lie is a bit of a stretch. Is it worth discussing? Absolutely. But I think you fail to consider the nuances that come along with it. Nuances that seriously changed how the argument works. Maybe they are wrong for flat out saying socialism works, but it's not really a lie, is it? Other than that, I don't want to talk about this point too much, since I don't think I should have a say on the matter at this point in time.
Coming in at number 2, the second lie that's told to you by the left is the fact that guns kill people. Now, this one is just completely asinine.
Huh. I don't know about that one, bud. I got the whole argument guns don't kill people, people kill people, to an extent, because, yes, guns do kill people. They are simply a tool designed to do as such, and they are typically quite effective at their job. This is even coming from me, someone who is pro-Second Amendment. I believe citizens should be allowed to bear arms. However, humans are violent creatures, and guns can both protect and destroy life. I don't think either side of the argument is inherently wrong, because of the millions of nuanced arguments people talk about relating to guns in the United States. The same thing could be said about rapiers in the Renaissance. They were a civilian weapon that was also used to hurt people. And the rapier did kill people.
It's like blaming the fork on being fat.
I believe this to be a false equivalence fallacy. The fork isn't the reason someone is fat. They're fat probably because of their addiction to food, and while yes, it is still a tool that assisted in becoming fat, similar to how a gun is just a tool that assists in killing someone, it was still the gun that did the job. I want to see more I want to see more statistics on screen from the rest of this point.
And the next point that I'd like to make is that systemic racism is alive and well, and still currently going on in the country. Now, this point is actually partly true.
It's actually completely true. Systemic racism is a huge issue that shouldn't be forced upon anyone, yet it's still very common to see racism inside of our own government somehow. This is a serious issue regardless of how much we've improved, because it's still an issue that shouldn't be. Nobody is saying you can't be successful as a black person, or live a happy life as a Mexican or such. That's still very possible for those people, however that doesn't mean they should be forced into a position where they can be killed by a police officer simply because they were speeding or something like that. That kind of stuff needs to stop happening one way or another, and I can only hope we do it as peaceful as possible. You go on to suggest that people of color getting help and assistance and subjecting it only to people of color is racist, when it's not. Those are the people who need it the most, and who should be getting the help they need. I can understand why you think this. You probably grew up with a lot of white privilege, which isn't even an insult, but it's true. You got benefits everybody should have, but they don't. And it's hard for you to see because you're getting the good cookie while others are getting poisoned. Just put yourself in their position. These are regular people just living their lives, but they have to fear so much more and get the short end of the stick in so many situations to the point where it's too much of a pattern to ignore. They're still able to be successful, but it comes with its challenges that shouldn't even still be around. Racism isn't natural, it's taught. The reason Black Lives Matter is so big is not because we're saying not all lives matter, but to show that black people's lives are just as valuable as anyone else's because they've been targeted too much and it needs to be heard. People who claim all lives matter are right. All lives do matter, and Black Lives Matter supporters typically are in agreement. However, it is frustrating for something that needs to be said, Black Lives Matter, is being watered down because All Lives Matter supporters don't see the point of the movement. We're all human, that's true. But a lot of people have underlying racist issues that need to be addressed.
The next point that is a big lie that's told by the left, and that's the idea of gender theory. Now, what I'm talking about is the fact that they push this idea that there's more than two genders. Now, personally, I disagree with that statement. If you want to separate them and you say sex is one thing and gender is one thing, gender's however you feel, and sex is biological based on fact, sure, you can have your gender over here and, do whatever you'd like. But if they're the same, which most people claim them to be,
they aren't the same. Sex, to my knowledge, is what you are biologically, whereas gender is identity. This is a very complicated subject, so I can understand why you'd be confused. However, claiming it to be a lie just because you don't understand what is being said is wrong. I am not too much of a reliable source on this matter, so I recommend you check out Renegade Science Teacher on TikTok, otherwise known as Forrest Valkai on YouTube. Sorry for butchering their name. Because he is very well informed and makes it easy to understand, as he is a biology teacher and sex and gender is a part of biology. However, what I will tell you personally is that you are objectively wrong when saying there are only two. Neopronouns I don't even understand, so yeah, I could learn more about that. However, they/them pronouns are real and do work, and you are scientifically wrong. I just don't know how to debunk you right now because you haven't really substantiated that claim.
Coming in the last 5 points, these are some bonus points, and this one is abortions.
I don't really want to talk about abortions because of reactionary issues I have with that stuff, but there is certainly a lot to debate about with that kind of stuff.
Moving on to the next point, that's a big lie, and it's obesity. And the fact that obesity is healthy.
I agree with you. People who say that are fucking morons. However, claiming the left to be the issue is doing mental gymnastics. Sure, most of the people who claim that are radically left, but those people are their own individuals and do not speak for the rest of us. And rational people call them idiots.
The next point that is a lie is a lot of the COVID nonsense that was going on. Now, there's 3 things that were really pushed by the left and the media that were the fact that lockdowns supposedly work, when in reality they really did nothing to stop COVID.
But you're wrong. It does do something. We were all supposed to stay in our houses to limit our outside interactions, to limit the spread of the virus. That's why we had multiple safety precautions, because none of them by themselves was viable enough to do on their own, and was never expected to 100% stop the virus. Nobody claimed it would eradicate the virus or completely stop it from spreading. We just needed to flatten the curve enough for it to be safe.
And most of the spread was within the home, so even if you lock people down, they can't, they're going to have to leave at some point to get groceries and other things, so it really does nothing. The fact that mask mandates supposedly work, but in reality, if you look at other countries that put in mask mandates and others that did not, really there was no statistical difference.
I don't know where you're getting that information, but let me explain masks to you. Masks do their job well. They prevent a large majority of the virus getting in or out of the mask. They aren't 100% effective, but they were proficient enough at their job to be worth our time. Even if you still got COVID while wearing a mask, you wouldn't be as sick as you could be because you would have contracted significantly less of the virus, which, surprising to most people, directly correlates to how sick you get. The more virus you have, the more sick you are. We had all the precautions for a reason, to flatten the curve. We wanted to slow down the spread of the virus as much as possible, even though we knew that eradicating it was highly improbable. The main reason we had to deal with it for so long is because a lot of idiots didn't understand to the Center for Disease Control or World Health Organization, which are trustworthy sources and are here to protect us. I've left a link to a CDC article about masks in the description if you want to read more about how they help us. I've had to deal with the biggest anti-masker ever for quite some time, so I know a lot of their dumbass arguments, and I can say with certainty that anti-maskers typically have no idea what they're talking about. I really did not like this video. I think it wasn't very well informed and could have been worded a lot better. I like this guy, actually, so no hate, dude. You honestly seem like a genuine and cool person. Maybe we could chat sometime. Not about politics, though. That's not really my cup of tea. I'll leave that up to you. You seem to have some pretty logical takes, and most of where we disagree is with petty political disagreements, which is absolutely fine, as long as we can be civil. That, or you haven't researched or talked about the topics enough to fully understand them, like the stuff with COVID. Other than that and a few critiques I had with your channel, not too bad. I hope we don't end up on bad terms, but I'd seriously like to talk with you someday, so come join my Discord server. The link will be in the description. Maybe we can chat sometime. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Go follow my social medias for updates and such. Subscribe if you aren't and would like to see more of this stuff, and suggest what I should talk about next if you've got any ideas that I might like. See you next time.